Greetings, viewers. This is King Acho from Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia. Welcome to my platform. This is a Pan African platform. Please like, share, and subscribe. The discussion of today has to do with the relationship between Africa and France, the relationship between Africa and United Kingdom, the relationship between Africa and Germany, the relationship between Western powers and Africa. And you could even say the relationship between Africa and China. But before I get involved in this discussion, which actually stems from an article that is titled Macron Seeks African Reset with New View of France's Troubled History on the Continent. Before I get into this discussion, I would like to say this is a platform that discusses geopolitical issues around the world and especially Africa. As you know, this discussion has to do with the relationship between Africa and Western power and the relationship between Africa and China. Madam, why is France trying to reset the relationship between France and Africa? Simple. The relationship between France and Africa has gone sour. The ways they did things in the past during the colonial ages and even up to when we became independence, and when we became an independent countries in Africa, you know, we understand that they think they are superior and we are inferior, so they could do whatever they want to do. But that has slightly changed a little bit because they cannot use the same old tactics to obtain what they need because there are also many powerful countries in the world that are also trying to work with or are working with African countries, countries like China, countries like Russia. So, as you've noticed, these are all superpowers of the world doing everything possible to obtain a better relationship in Africa. And why is that? Because they need the resources in Africa. They need the resources in Africa, but they don't need the people, nor give a damn about the people of Africa. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, China, United Kingdom, France, you name it, they look down on black people. They look down on Africa. They see us as less than animals, but they care more about the resources in the continent and will do whatever it takes to obtain what they need. So last week, Germany agreed to pay Namibia 1.1 billion as it officially recognized its colonist murder of 10,000s of Herero and Noma people in Namibia. This debate between Germany and Namibia of the fact that they need to recognize the genocide that Germany played in the country of Namibia has taken a long period. At one point, Germany was refusing to recognize that what they did was genocide. But why do you think they have decided to agree? Oh yeah, it is genocide, and we're going to pay you 1.1 billion. As if 1.1 billion can be compared to the amount of people that kill. It's an insult. But some of the African leaders are saying, "Oh, it's a good move." Meanwhile, others are saying, "Oh, well, it's something." I mean, it's they are at least trying to do something. But to me, it's an insult. 1.1 billion is an insult. And why do you think they're actually they've decided to pay that 1.1 billion? It's because they need Namibia. They don't need the people of Namibia, but they need the resources that is available in Namibia. They need the resources that are available in the continent of Africa. So by trying to flatter Namibia with what they're giving, and by France trying make an apology or some kind of apology to Rwanda, is showing that they're at least making an attempt. But by them making the attempt, I think they're just belittling, looking down on us Africans. They don't care about Africans. They care about the resources in Africa because they need those resources to make their countries powerful so that they could do business as they've been doing business. If only the only case is that many of our leaders don't seem to understand the dynamics. They don't understand the relationship between European nations or between France and Africa, between Germany and Africa, between United Kingdom and Africa. The relationship is a power and slave relationship. It has always been and it will continue to be because they don't look at our humanity as any significant factor. Because if they do, blacks in UK will be treated better. Blacks in France will be treated better. The relationship between the people that look like us, that are in France, that are in United Kingdom, that is in the United States, that are all over the world, will be treated with some respect. But the world does not give a damn about black people. And this is something that African leaders seem to understand. You know, Emmanuel Macron was in Rwanda, made apologies. You might think that that's all good move, but no, that is all political. They're doing it to showcase that they're making attempts. But the real reason why they're doing that is because they need the resources in Africa. So trying to polish their image a little bit with Africa will give them the opportunity or to give them the chance to obtain what they need in the continent. That is the end goal. You see, some people might apologize by try to play it nice, and you think they're doing that because they like you or they respect you. No, but they're doing all that because they want something. Which is exactly what Germany is doing in Namibia, which is exactly what France is doing with Rwanda after the death of so many people in Rwanda. Action that France took that impacted the country of Rwanda. But now they think they could, say, we apologize, we recognize, and then that's all. No. And why, as I said, they're all doing all this pretending is because they need what is available in the continent of Africa. And the people of Africa need to understand that. Because if they truly understand what Rwanda went through, what Namibia went through, what many African countries went through during the colonial times, then the relationship of African people in France will be a lot better with the people, with the black people in France, with the black people in UK, with the black people in the United States, with the black people in Brazil, all over the world. The relationship would have been a little better. But they don't give a damn about the people of Africa or African descent. They just give a damn about the resources that they need, which is why Germany made an attempt to apologize and give a mere 1.1 billion. Mere. It's not compared to the amount of lives that were taken in Namibia. As a matter of fact, a country like Belgium did not do shit when it comes to the killing of people in Congo. They did not give a shit about that. And they haven't really made any attempts either But that is the role of the colonial master. That's the role of what happens when people have power over other people. They don't give a damn about black humanity. Others also see the history of the continent as critical and useful to them. Countries like China, which has made a major effort to extend influence across Africa, systematically highlights the bloody past of Western colonial powers on the continent. Hey, so China says, oh, we did not colonize you. We could call you monkeys. We could have pictures in China of you describing you as a monkey. We could degrade you, but we would say, oh, we did not enslave or colonize you, so it's better to do business with us. But China, what has China been doing in Africa since China came to Africa? Same tactics that the Western power use to obtain what they need without giving a damn about the humanity of African people. Why? Because Africa and the leaders of Africa do not understand the dynamics of power. To some African leaders, when you know, put all your opponent, your political opponent in prison and control the country, they think that is power. That's not power. The amount of power the Western nations have is nothing compared to the understanding of power to African leaders. Because if African leaders understood power, they will make sure that they create a systematic structure of power that would influence the world and do more for the children of Africa. But they don't. They only look at the, smaller aims, smaller purpose, trying to fit in with the Western powers, trying to do business with the Western powers, which in the long run, the business doesn't even benefit Africa people in the world. Britain has tried to invoke imperial history through the Commonwealth. Britain or United Kingdom that left Europe, that's break out from Europe because they wanted to do their own thing. Because United Kingdom is a powerful nation, and with the Commonwealth system and the countries in Africa that are part of the Commonwealth system, they see the importance of not being part of the European continent or the European power because they think, hey, they could do it all by themselves because they are powerful enough to do so. But countries in Africa that are part of the Commonwealth, like countries in Africa that are part of the Francophonie system, do not benefit as much. They think they do, but they don't. Which is why the African youths must fight to get out of the Commonwealth, push all their countries to get out from the Commonwealth and to get out from the Francophonie institution or system. Because it's not a system that benefit Africa, but a system that was created by the colonial master to benefit the colonial master. So with the Francophonie system, it doesn't really benefit Africans. It benefits France. With the Commonwealth, it doesn't benefit African countries. It benefits the United Kingdom. So those two institutions, if the African youth could fight and voice their opinions for their countries to be opted out from those two systems, it will be great for Africa. But so long as we're part of this system, The colonial masters will continue to use those systems for their own benefit. Just like Britain is always trying to say, oh, is doing better. Their relationship with Africa is better than their relationship with France. But it's still the same thing. One is using a subtle word to do it. The other one is using a different method. But the end goal is the same. How much can France obtain from Africa to enrich himself? How much can the United Kingdom obtain from Africa to enrich himself, and so that they could be the power nations in the world? It's, as I said, Macron apologized for the terrible act they committed in Rwanda. But that apology is nothing. The relationship that Macron is trying to reset with Africa is actually going smoothly, because now the relationship between Rwanda and France will be better in a way that they will do business. And that business in general will not really benefit all Rwandans or Rwandese people, but it will benefit France in the long run. But you see, oh, they apologize. Oh, that's good. Man, shit. That's nothing. It's time for Africa to leave the Commonwealth and to leave the Francophonie institution. We have to. Because the more we stay there, the more they take advantage of the continent of Africa. In countries like Mali, uh, countries like Central African Republic, countries like Chad are going through a lot of shit. A lot of French African countries, because France supports those presidents in those countries while obtaining what they need from those countries. As a matter of fact, Mali has been switching presidents through coup continuously in a way that is good, but what will be the outcome of it if we don't have better leadership in Africa that would make the countries in Africa grow? Africa needs to create power, systemic power that would influence the continent and grow to the global world. As for now, we don't have the power. The countries that have powers are China, France, United Kingdom or Britain, Germany, United States. Those are the most powerful nations in the world. There is no powerful nation in Africa. None. And Africa is a huge continent. And because Africa is not powerful enough, doesn't have the power, doesn't have the structural power to change things, the people of Africa on the continent and globally pay for it. But when we are able to create a structure of power, because it's all about power, Mali could keep switching president, keep having coups, but Mali, no matter how big it is not a nation that is as powerful as France. Cannot be as powerful as France. But in the days of the Mali Empire, it was a powerful nation. But now it's not. Why? Because Mali, like many African countries, do not have a system that creates a better future for all African people or for all Mali people or do not really have a system. We have leaders trying to stay in power for so long and don't really do shit, like in Cameroon, like in Togo, like in many other African countries. But the Western power and China have created a system that works to the point where they enrich their nation and even their continent to make things work for them. But Africa hasn't found a system that will make the continent work for the continent and for the people of the continent. France does not have any best intention in Africa. France's ultimate guiding principle is protection and advancement of its own interests. So whatever France is doing, they're apologizing to Rwanda. Whatever France is doing, and whatever even Germany is doing, is to advance Germany, is to advance France. So you might think, oh, the 1.1 billion that Germany is giving to Namibia looks good, but in the long run, Germany will make more than 1.1 billion from Namibia. And in Namibia will lose more because of the relationship they have with Germany and the relationship they have with other African countries. Namibia will lose more. African countries will lose more, and meanwhile, Germany will gain from Africa. France will gain from Africa, and China will also gain in the process if we don't know how to deal with their leadership. And if our leadership is not ready to deal with the Western powers and any other powers that we come across. As a matter of fact, last month, Macron flew to Chad uh, for the burial of the former president to make clear to the local rebels that the son of the former president was Frank's protege. In other words, the former president's son, who is now the president of Chad, is who they support. Again, why are they supporting him? Because he has their interests. Whatever Frank does to Africa is not for the interest of Africa, but for the interest of France. Whatever any Western powers or China does is not for the interest of Africa, but for the interest of China, or for the interest of the West. And African leaders need to understand that in order to deal with business with them. Because if they don't, then Africa will always be at the losing end while they are always gaining. Because the relationship between Africa and Western powers, or between Africa and Germany, between Africa and France, between Africa and United Kingdom, between Africa and China, or any other power, does not come on an equal footing. It's a relationship where one has power and the other doesn't. See, Africa now has to create power bases that will be able to handle the relationship between Africa and any other Western nation. Based on the countries that we have in Africa, it's not working. Regional powers, if utilized well, will play a key factor in destroying the relationship dynamic between Africa and the Western power, between Africa and China. When Africa is when Africa is doing business with a country like China or with a country like France, and use but um, the eco the ECOWAS system to do business, it will carry a lot more weight in dealing with in dealing business with France or any other country. But if a country like um, Togo is going to do business with a country like France, that's not a relationship. That's just. But this is what is happening in many African countries, and we get the end of the stick. Meanwhile, the resources that they need to enrich themselves is available in Africa, and the people of Africa do not really benefit. And the leaders pretty much sell out the people of Africa because of the type of relationship they have with the Western power. Take, for example, Macron's um, paid respect to Napoleon Bonaparte. He see him as his hero. And when it comes to countries in Africa, French African countries, he see himself as a leader, leading those French African countries in Africa. But when will any of the French African countries take a leading role in France? That can happen because the relationship dynamic between France and French African country stands at a point where France is a powerful nation and French African countries are weak. So, which means that Africa is a child that will always need the father, which is France or United Kingdom or Germany, or you could also include China. So, when will African leadership grow and become a force, not just in the continent, but a force in the world? Because everything that we do in this world stems from power. And if you don't have it, you try to stick to those who have it in order to survive. But Africa has been sticking too much with the colonial masters or with China or with Russia. It's time for Africa to take the lead and become a powerful nation, a powerful continent. But that cannot be done under African Union. That cannot be done with the countries that we have in Africa. It can only be done when the countries in Africa work as a team. West Africa or ECOWAS has to see the strength in West Africa. SADC has to see the strength in SADC. East Africa has to see the strength in East Africa. And if we walk through the blocks when we're making businesses with Western powers, the relationship dynamic will change eventually. But in order for that to happen, real leadership needs to needs to take place. Without which we will always remain the slaves, the inferiors. We will always be looked down, trampled on, called monkeys, belittled by non-Africans. And that relationship would not change because we have bad leaders who are not really planning for the future and who are not really doing much to change the relationship between Africa and Western powers or China. Can we do it? Maybe. Shall we do it? Only time will tell. But with the leadership in Africa that we have, where you have a country in Mali that will go through coups upon coups and still not achieve what it needs to strengthen a nation like Mali, that is way bigger than a country like France. But France is the one that controls a country like Mali, controls a country like